guys, welcome to Traffic Talk.
What's up guys, it's Tyne here again. You know what these are the unedited, very raw traffic talks that I do. This is season 2, episode 2, and yeah, I'm going to jump right into this because quite surprisingly there's not a lot of traffic this morning. Obviously because some guys are still on holiday, I assume, or maybe we're just lucky, I don't know. But yeah, so we're going to jump straight into this. I've got a couple of suggestions that have come through that people want me to talk about, but they're going to take a bit longer than one video. So eventually I'll talk about Bitcoin. That seems to be everyone's favorite topic these days, and the concept of the matrix, or being stuck in the matrix, and stem cell research. Those are topics that have all been requested. But yeah, those take a little bit of time to kind of explain and dig through, and I don't have too much to kind of share about it right now. So we're going to get to those. They are going to be discussed eventually. A topic that did get asked on last week's video, so thanks for that. If you guys are watching this and you have ideas or suggestions or things that you want me to rant about or talk about or answer, I'm here for you. You know, that's what these are about. So just, you know, take a moment and think through it and put it in the comments, and I'll check them out, and then I might answer them or talk about it. Otherwise, if you don't want to put it in the comments for whatever crazy reason, you could also hit me up on Twitter, and that there's a link for that down in my description. So let me change lanes quickly. The first thing we're going to talk about is someone asked me to tell you guys what my PC specs are, and that's going to be quite funny because I'm going to premise this by saying that I have what is probably a huge potato PC. It is quite old, but I'll start it off. The first thing everyone wants to know is the CPU, which is actually an AMD Athlon 2. So that's got 2 threads. It runs at 2.9. 2.9. That's right. 2.9 hertz. So gigahertz. So that's like, yeah, it's quite an old CPU. And the motherboard is obviously one that's compatible with that, which is an ECS GeForce 6100. That's an M2 version, so it's the second edition of that type of motherboard. But yeah, those are pretty old. I'll explain that why in a minute. The other thing, so that's my CPU. My RAM is 4 gigs of RAM, which people think, oh, 4 gigs, you know, that's not bad. Yeah, it's a DDR2, and it runs at 444 hertz, 444 megahertz, which in context of those who don't know too much about computers, the current stuff is like 64 gigs of G-Skill at 2100 megahertz. So my 4 gigs of 444 megahertz is like nothing. So yeah, good, relatively okay RAMs, except for the clock speed. So it'll cache a lot of information, but it'll take a really long time to cache that information. Let's not get into that, because if you're watching this and you don't understand all that kind of stuff, you're going to just get that glazed look in your eyes. So yeah, that's it. The relatively decent part of my computer is probably my graphics card, which is a GeForce 750. I thought it was a 760, but I double checked and it is a 750. And that's a 1 gig graphics card that kind of handles itself quite decently. It is probably the second newest piece of equipment to my rig. The first being my hard drive, which is like a 2 terabyte hard drive, so that's a decent amount of space. But that's because I save like everything on there, and for video editing, etc., needs space. That's just a Seagate standard hard drive, 7,200 RPMs. Yeah, 2 terabytes. So then obviously if you guys have heard those specs, there's probably a whole bunch of you that don't have a clue what those are, because they're probably older than you are. I'm joking, they're not that bad. But they are a good, like, I don't know, 9 to 10 years old, my CPU. Yeah, because I'm fairly certain my motherboard, if I remember a couple of years ago, I had to do some video editing for someone. I transported my computer to their house and started setting things up and switched it on, and something in their electricity and my motherboard didn't like each other, and I literally had sparks and flames shooting out the back of my case, and all my capacitors on my motherboard popped, which is fantastic. You know, you just go there to do a project and anyway, so that motherboard got replaced. Don't think my CPU was replaced at the same time. I did have an Intel before that, but I'm fairly certain it was the same CPU. So yeah, it's old. I'll give you some background as to why. When I was young and I first got my PC built, but not this exact version, but version previous to that, I spent a good decent amount of money on it, and it worked for a very long time, and then finished high school and decided there's a huge line and I need to get over. So excuse me, we're gonna try and find an option. Gonna make some people grumpy. I don't normally do this, people, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on this road. I think the robots are out. Anyway, so yeah, that's great. I hate having to like squeeze in places. It feels very trollish, and I'm not a troll. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so computer got upgraded, well, bought just when I was out of high school. I had that whole process where the CPU, the motherboard actually basically caught a light, and then I had those parts replaced. But then after that I started studying and not earning any money, and then after that I kind of worked more focused on getting married and more focused on trying to support my wife and I, which meant there wasn't really cash lying around to just spend on upgrading my computer all crazy. And that's somewhat still true. There isn't money floating around for me to just go and upgrade to a 1070 and an i7 processor or a Ryzen 5 processor, anything like that. But you know, one day I'll have the ability to upgrade that PC. It is old, but like I think it tops out on like Battlefield 4. It's like one of the more decent FPSs that it still plays, and then obviously some of the more indie games still run decently. So I can still play games, I just can't play them on pretty graphics, and I don't really focus on my FPS because that's embarrassing. Talking about games, I will spend a little bit of time while we're stuck on this. Oh my goodness, this little frame's gonna kill me. While we're stuck here, about Hacknet. So some of you may know the guy Storm, also known as Suration, who quite graciously last week or the week before, I think it was the week before, gifted me a copy of Hacknet, which is a game. It was last week, which is a game on Steam, which was actually on my wish list. And yeah, let me tell you a little bit about that game. So it is a game about hacking, if you didn't get that by the name Hacknet. And I was interested in getting this game because it looks like it's supposed to be quite accurate to the whole way that people hack and the whole like vibe and atmosphere of it. If you Google like hacking simulator or like anything kind of related to like most accurate type of game, it is one of those games that comes up as a recommended. So I was quite hopeful when I saw that. I did spend a little bit of time since I got it playing a bit of it, like I've played it a little while, just to get a vibe of what it's like. I do plan, if you guys are interested in this, of trying to do maybe a live stream. So I'll start the game from fresh, and people like you watching this video can join me on a live stream. I don't know why I said it like that. Can join me on a live stream and we can try and solve the game together. It's a very basic type of game. You can see nodes on a network. You can then type in commands into a console, or you can even use a point and click thing, and you kind of basically have to solve a pattern or a puzzle. It's hard to explain. but you have to use certain types of commands in a certain type of order to hack into the next computer, and there's a story that kind of progresses as you do that. It's kind of an interesting game. I like the concept of being able to use a console for it, so a terminal where you actually have to type information in rather than just point and click. That does, although you can point and click in hacking, but I'm not going to get into that whole conversation. There is an element behind this which isn't accurate, so I'll say that outright right now. It mixes terms and uses around, like the way that some things are supposed to work in real life don't work that way. Like, it uses Linux based commands for like listing a directory, but then you're supposed to use a exploit which is an exe, which is a Windows thing. So you can't have a Windows type of command and a Linux thing on the same like OS. It doesn't necessarily work that way, people. But yeah, it mixes things up like that. It doesn't have like a whole array, but it does give a decent representation of that. There is something else out there which you can play around with if you're the type of person who's interested in hacking and you want to, or you're just someone who's interested in figuring out how this whole terminal thing works that people use a lot. There is a website called overthewire.wargames.org, I believe it is, and you can start off on a level called Bandit, and that's pure like terminal use. You like type in all the commands, you get dropped into a Ubuntu box in a terminal command line, and you type out, and that's quite fun. It's like an interesting challenge. It helps you to get a better understanding of how Unix or Linux commands work. So you could do that. But anyway, Hacknet, that's kind of my little like puzzle-ish game at the moment. I've got a whole bunch of other games recently as well that I'll probably be playing. But if you guys are interested in a live stream where we try and solve some of those Hacknet, I'm pretty sure it's probably only like a 4-hour game. But yeah, if you're interested in watching me do that on a live stream, maybe helping me solve some of the things, then let me know down below and we'll arrange for that. If you've been watching these for long enough, you also know that I'm pretty grumpy with my internet service provider, and I'm at the point where I'm going to start like chopping heads because yeah, their service has been absolutely poor, and I don't really want to. I'm not the type of person to name and shame them unnecessarily, so they're pretty much getting one more stern wording from me in terms of an email and phone conversation, and if they don't come right, then I'm going to have to look for another service provider, which is a pity because these guys are really well priced and they had really good service. It almost comes down to the only reason that I'm going to scrap them is because their customer service is so bad, and they have what almost quite honestly looks like no idea on how to fix the problem. So short of me going there and doing it for them, which is not something that's going to happen, it's not going to get solved, so I'm going to have to just move. But anyway, that's my rant. Internet sucks, guys. I wish you could just all have fiber, you know? Like, if you have fiber out there, count yourself lucky, because it's the best. My area doesn't have any fiber, and it doesn't have any ADSL even. Like, the ADSL in my area is like a 2 meg line, but if you try and use ADSL, that's like just a bad idea.
And no LTE.
There's no LTE in my area either. Well, Telkom, but I'm not going to use Telkom.
No.
That's like a 24-hour contract.
24-hour
contract, I'll take it. 24-month contract. Okay, so yeah, Hacknet, cool game, but you'll see if you guys aren't interested in watching a live stream of that, I might still just shoot up some video of me playing it and pop that online so you guys can check it out, along with some other games. So that will probably be on Thursday if my internet's working. If not, we'll figure something else out. I'll video something else and put something else on the channel for Thursday. We are now off the highway. It took that long from when I first complained about the Warframe till now. Probably like 8 minutes or something ridiculous. And yeah, it's hot in this car, but we we're still here. We're still gonna drive to work, but I'm gonna leave it here because we're about 15 minutes in, or 15 and a half minutes in. So I will say goodbye, and thanks for joining me in another traffic talk / rant. Thanks for laughing at me for my PC specs. I know they're sad, but anyway, they still render videos, so at least there's that. So yeah, anyway, see you guys soon for another video. Please, if, like I said earlier, if you have any suggestions and things you want me to talk about, stem cell research, quantum physics, networking equipment, I can talk about quite a lot of different topics. Just watching this, okay, no, better not, punk. I can talk about a whole bunch of things. You just need to tell me what you want to talk about, or ask me a question down below, and I will rant about it. So that's that. I've been Tyron this whole time, and you can see me on the Twitter if you want to talk to me there. That's it. You can go now. Bye.